Trump he's in a weird situation here because a significant portion of his fan base is now anti-vax. But he developed the vax, or under his administration, the vax was developed. I mean, mRNA technology existed, and that's what...
It was something I thought about when I was at Penn, and then when this happened, I'm like, hey, I got an idea.
I had two ideas. Bleach or mRNA vaccines. Let's see. And so is that but I get credit for both. But this is the thing, is this is one thing he will not like sort of deviate from. And it's interesting because I think he just doesn't see that he has a weakness there.
And we have lost people because we supported the jab.
Yeah. Pause it real quick. She said you lost people because you supported the jab.
As RNC member, I travel this country. And we have lost people because we supported the jab. What do you think you would do here?
Yeah, well, you know, everybody wanted a vaccine at that time. And I was able to do something that nobody else could have done, getting it done very, very rapidly. But I never was for mandates. I thought the mandates were terrible. And you know, there's a big portion of the country that thinks that was a great thing. You understand that. Not a lot of the people in this room, but there is a big portion.
He's having to sort of like, do we have any more of that? Can we? He's having really to sort of dig himself out of a hole here. It's interesting. It's also very weird what's going on with his hair today.
Well, he sometimes goes into the gaseous form where you almost can't even see strands in it. But I think that's very interesting because DeSantis is going to increasingly try to hit him on that. But also DeSantis is a guy who, like, as Trump posted on Truth Social, that when the vaccine was rolling out, it says every vaccine administered is good, which is like accurate.
Right. This is the amazing thing, like how it also speaks to the tremendous, like, sort of, I don't know, cravenness of these people. That they knew at one time, like, vaccinations are important. But then I realized it was bad, even though a lot of people think it was good. Here, let's go. Do we have later?
It's a little bit of a continuation.
Okay, yeah, here we go.
Yeah, well, you know, everybody wanted a vaccine at that time. And I was able to do something that nobody else could have done, getting it done very, very rapidly. But I never was for mandates. I thought the mandates were terrible. And you know, there's a big portion of the country that thinks that was a great thing. You understand that. Not a lot of the people in this room, but there is a big portion. I had a man come up to me the other day who's actually a Democrat liberal guy, a friend of mine. And he said to me, I don't even know if he voted for me, to be honest, but he's a friend of mine, smart guy, but very liberal. He said, why is it you never mention what you did with the vaccines? I said, no, thanks. I'm not going to be doing that right now. But, you know, there is a big, he said, it's amazing. You save so many lives. There's a big portion that feel very much the opposite. We can understand that. We can handle that. I hated the idea of the mandates, and I didn't do the mandates. You know, I didn't make any governor close their state. Florida did close, as you know, but South Carolina, South Dakota, a lot of states didn't. Tennessee, a lot of states, the governors really did a good job. Iowa didn't really close, and they really didn't close.
I mean. You can't walk that line better. I mean,
that's a politician there, and even like the DeSantis fans, like he's already pivoting to the general. It's like you guys were supposed to be the like less Trumpy, more moderate, more acceptable one, and he's absolutely right on the merits there. And there's a lot of people. We talk about bubbles. That whole crew, it's wild because Trump is such an authority to these people, and he's also trying to like author something that they completely have been trained to disagree with.
Yep.
And it's going to be a test of like how much that sticks. And I think if he keeps repeating this, that a lot of, I hope the anti-vax stuff will take a significant hit.
Yeah. I mean, there is, I hate to say this, but there is value in him, like, sort of diminishing the salience of anti-vax in our politics.
It's also just interesting that the first video we watched was clipped for like the DeSantis War Room account. That was like a shot across the bow, being like, "Look at Trump being pro-vaccine at an Iowa stop." Where like, I don't actually think that. I just don't think this hurts him nearly as much as DeSantis and his team think it does. Like I think like you said, Matt, I think they're very much in their own sort of like DeSantis camp.
I had to develop the vax.
Yeah. My hands were tied.
Everybody wanted one.
Everybody, because it's politics. But I didn't close down my state like Ron DeSantis did.
I also love that he says to the voter, "You understand that more people outside this room
they don't." But and also, like, just a note on South Dakota. One, the Dakotas didn't experience COVID at the same time as like Florida and New York. It took like 6 months to get there, and also they forced, and it got there after Kristi Noem said, "Hey, Sturgis, you know how your residents don't want to do the big motorcycle rally?
Yeah, you're going to, and it was a. I mean, who knows how many people died from that? But there is a number.
There is a number in the whole region. Like,
there is a number.
Absolutely.
What is also interesting about Trump doing that is that notion of you and I are here, and they're out there, and sometimes I've got to do stuff to make them okay. And that's all that Mesmer stuff.
Yes. Yeah.
That is, you and I are in on the lie.
The trick. Yep.
You and I are on one side, and you just got to trust me that I know how to deal with the bad people.
Yeah. Come back here behind the curtain with me.
Exactly. That is something
that's why he won.
That is that in many respects. That's why he won. I mean, we had that author on about Joseph Mesmer, and the idea of mesmerism. The idea of mesmerism is, we know you're lying, but we're on the right side of that lie. The other people are on the wrong side of the lie. We're in on it. It's like, NBA doesn't have this type of players, but back in the 80s, you'd always have like a Rick Roby, or you'd have a guy whose job it was that you threw in there for like 10 minutes over the course of the game, just literally to hurt other players. And, just like literally like beat them up in the second quarter, essentially, so that they're a little bit slower in the third, fourth quarter. And you hated that guy. Like Bill Laimbeer was one of those guys.
Right.
You hated that guy unless he was on your team.
They call them enforcers in hockey.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. You hate that guy unless he's on your team.
And I'm reminded we had this author a few like last year at some point. I think Amanda Montell. She wrote this book Cultish about like different trappings of cults, and like that there's this term thought terminating cliches, where basically there's like a shorthand to be like, oh, like Tiny D or like me or like Crooked Hillary or whatever, is like you it doesn't really matter what information you are given. Like if you have that shorthand for someone you already support, though, so much like Trump, that just all filters right into that. Like there's always a filtration away from like thinking anything about DeSantis or whoever would be like more correct than what Trump has to say.
Right.
So that's also why I think that the pro-vax stuff won't impact him that much, because Trump is the apex already. So like they're already inclined to let him off.
That was always my argument in 2016. Was like, you've built a Republican Party where money is the ascendant value. And so it doesn't matter what is being discussed on stage. Trump is the billionaire. By definition, what he says is correct, even if it's completely contrary to what he said the day before. And
he's the paragon of success. Like he's like with The Apprentice. Like that's like, that is his persona.
Yeah. I mean, that's and DeSantis doesn't have that, but we'll see.